I've been creating card games and board games to entertain people for about 4 years, since I was 11 years old. And the reason doing so is because not only do I like bringing joy to other people, but also because I love card and board games. And today I, as you know from clicking on the video, invented a mix of a card game and a board game that is essentially like any dungeon crawling roguelike that you would play, you know, on a console. And I would like to tell you a little bit about the different card games and board games that I've invented in the past, you know, since I was a little baby. First off was a game called Poking. It had nothing to do with poking. It was just an off-brand rip-off of Pokemon. Not the game, just the name. It had the rules of Yu-Gi-Oh, basically. You know, you play cards, you attack, you can place, you know, trap cards or whatever to, you know, little pranks on your opponent or whatever. But I think my favorite part about it is that it was kind of a community building project where anyone that wanted to build their own cards would make their own cards on little index cards, you know, just like typical study note index cards. And then you could trade with other people, and you would have your signature at the bottom of each card. So you would have a deck of cards that we'd use to play against another opponent, and you could have 15 different art styles in those cards just because of how many people have, you know, drawn on them. And I remember I had a good amount of kids, you know, coming up to me and being like, oh, can you make me a card? And I, you know, obviously, you know, they didn't think they were good enough at art to make their own cards, so they didn't, and I would make cards for them, and it was basically me and this one kid that would mostly do all the card making. But I mean, we got a good amount of kids into it, and I think a lot of people had a lot of fun, and I know I had a lot of fun. And the best part is because if one kid made a card that was just overpowered, that it was just instantly wipe the field, another kid could make a card after that game that says if someone plays this card, then they don't win anymore. You know, like, it felt unbalanced at first, but anyone could rebalance it out whenever they felt like it. And we also had rules, like, no one can have health, no, like, creature can have health over 900 HP, things like that. That was my first ever card game, and I made it when I was in 6th grade, and it lasted for a long time. I remember my little brother and I used to play it all the time because we didn't know how to play any actual, like, card games yet. Actually, I think I knew how to play Yu-Gi-Oh! He didn't know how to play Yu-Gi-Oh! And I think it was too intimidating for him, so I taught him. I would teach him how to play it real quick, and then he would make his own cards and stuff, and I would even make card packages. I would make my own card packs of the cards, then make 10 cards and put them in the pack, and then I would let him open the packs to feel like he was actually, like, this is a real game. Probably had like 1,000 cards, at least. I had like a stack this thick, and then after that was this game that I don't remember the name of, but it was basically just a mix between chess and Dungeons and Dragons, in the sense that I used my Dungeons and Dragons minis for the pieces, and I, like, rolled the dice. When your little guys would run into each other on the chessboard, it was like out of graph paper. You would roll you would each roll a d20, and whoever got the highest number, won the battle, and the other creature got destroyed. And I think the goal was to get to the other side of the board. I think it was more like a, what's the word?
Capture the flag.
That game where you get the opponent's flag and then run back to your base. What is that called?
It's capture the flag, you bum.
Get the flag, or whatever.
Dude.
And then I made Poke Me version 2, which was just Poke Me, but better art, because I was slightly older and the rules were the exact same. My brother was just like, oh, I want to play Poke Me again, so I made new cards for him and stuff. And then I made a bunch of simple board games, like whenever me and my sister would be bored, I would literally just make a quick board and, you know, steps on the board, and it would be more like chutes and ladders. Nonetheless, I've been designing board games for forever, and now, for the past couple of weeks, I got the idea. I got the idea to basically combine all my favorite parts of every single board game and card game that I like into this one game that I really do believe is worthy of being posted online. And I really haven't seen a lot of, or any other people do this, or something exactly like this. You know, I'm doing this, so, you know, if it goes along well and people actually like it, then, hey, I'll keep making it. Why not? I have nothing better to do in my life. I mean, my sophomore year just started up, but other than that, I have nothing better to do with myself, so why not make a board game? Let's get into it. Actually, I'm testing out the camera angle. Technical goddamn difficulties.
Oh, perfect. That's great.
New camera angle, because I need to show off the pieces to this game, and how am I going to do that if all you can see is my fat fucking face? Anyway, I combined many different aspects from many different card games and board games that I find fun. For instance, my favorite thing about Dungeons & Dragons is the combat and the character classes and how you can get all this different equipment from going dungeoning and going through these massive crypts and getting all this crazy loot. Which is not only why my roguelike board game has the combat of Dungeons & Dragons with, you know, the same set of dice that you would see minus the percentile die because that's not needed. Also has a stack of equipment. I have a stack of about 30 equipment cards right now that you can find while dungeoneering. I also have a stack of slightly less right now because I've only been working on this for a week. Probably about 15 weapons like a scepter, war axe, cutlass, just all these different weapons for different classes and stuff. So that's kind of how it is like Dungeons & Dragons. Also, the class cards. And I'll put these on screen while I talk about them so you can actually see them, but there's the Barbarian class, which is, you know, attacking, the Cleric class, which is healing, Rogue, Magician, Monk, Pirate, Crusader, and Paladin, all of which change the gameplay and change how you're going to play the game and change the style that you're going to want to build your cards around. And that's how it segues into Magic the Gathering with deck building, because with the different classes, you're going to want different equipment cards, you're going to want different weapon cards, and I also introduced a new type of card that I call Relic, which they're not really relics, they're like action cards. You know, like in you ever played Magic the Gathering or Yu-Gi-Oh, you get like the trap cards or the instants. Every time you kill an enemy, you get a certain amount of relic fragments, and then you can trade those relic fragments in for relics, which are basically just an action or special ability that you activate once and then put at the bottom of the pile. And there are about 30 of these as well, just the same as the equipment. And I think my favorite ones is I have, you know, the 7 soul types in Undertale. I have one for each of the soul types, and I did that just for fun, and I think it's really cool. And Toby Fox, if you want to hit me up, I'm just kidding, I can help you make Deltarune Gunner route or something. I don't know, mommy's dunking on the court. So anyway, with each class that you play, like say I play Paladin and I'm playing mostly, I want long swords and I'm gonna need religious relics and items that play into my class because I have special abilities, and each class has a special ability that encourages you to collect the cards and play into certain abilities. Like the Barbarian, he has exceedingly high HP and exceedingly high attack, but his AC or armor class is super low, which means he's going to be getting hit a lot. There are creature cards with enemies that you draw from at random when you get an enemy encounter. Probably my absolute favorite part of it so far, or at least my favorite aspect that I really don't see, is my favorite board game is Catan, and I really like the board and how it can be different every time, which is why I have these. And these are dungeon tiles, and you play them face down at the beginning of every single game, and then as you go along, I don't have a die yet, so I'll just use this dice. As you go along, you know, it reveals new pieces. So every time you walk through the dungeon is completely and utterly different every single time. And there are different tiles that mean different things. There's a key that lets you unlock the door to the next dungeon level. There are skulls that mean it's an enemy encounter. There's a place to get or like a small amount of your life back. There's a place to sell items. There's a place to buy items. There are plenty of different, you know, variants of tiles, such as areas that are blocked off. There's chests. There's just all sorts. There's probably like 40 of these tiles, and I want there to be more eventually, but I need to get a better material before I do that.
Alright, last thing before I end up this video, or close up this video, because I really don't like boring videos of people just yapping for 15 minutes, and that's what this video is becoming. I just wanted to show a couple different map variants that I put together real quick, just to show you how big or small the dungeon can be, and how well the tiles fit together, and just how it's going to be completely random every time, because I didn't want to put you get the gist.
If you were a fan of the concept, or if you just like the game in general, or think it's not a bad idea, make sure to, you know, maybe like the video, or just clicking on it is totally enough for me. It gives me the motivation to make more videos and to keep doing what I'm doing, even though I'm so young and this is probably going to be straight group chat fuel in like 10 years time. But if you really did like it, make sure to, comment and let me know, because I don't think anything makes my day more than, like, comments saying, oh, this was so great, thank you so much. I think that really makes my day, reading all your guys' comments. They, like, really drive me to do this more and keep continuing, even if I feel like what I'm doing is shit. And if it is shit, please let me know, because I can stop, okay? I'm not gonna, but I can. If you thought it was cool, let me know, because I can totally do more of this. I can, those devlog things where they'll show the progress as they make the game. I can do that, but board maker log. I can show the process of me making the board game and making new cards. I can make this a series, or this can be a one-night stand if it sucked. So just let me know what you thought about it, and if you want to see more about it. If the vast majority of people want to see more of it, there will be more of it. If you guys don't want to see more of it, there probably won't be more of it unless I made like a crazy breakthrough and I really need to show you guys something about it or whatever. And if it's... Anyway, have a great day. Peace out. Have a great day. Peace out. And thanks for watching. Sorry for the train in the background.